This one's going to be a banger. You guys are going to get a lot of value out of this one, I think. So one of the questions I get really frequently is around the idea of perfectionism. Like, how do I get out of my own way and recognize, one is better than none. I have to put out this product, the minimum viable product. And in the beginning, it's probably going to be embarrassing. I'm probably not going to be super proud of the thing, right? I can't remember who said it, but he famously said, if you are not a little bit embarrassed by your first product, your first launch, then you have waited too long to launch. That might have been Steve Jobs, actually. No, I don't know. Somebody said it. Somebody very smart, and it's true. Your first product should leave you a little bit embarrassed, but this creates a really interesting question, a really interesting juxtaposition when we talk about never put out something that you're not proud of. Right? This is something I've talked about before. It's not the price of putting out something you're not proud of is your own self-esteem, your own feeling of self-worth. And that there's nothing that's worth exchanging that. So how do you balance this? How do you balance this need to not be perfect and recognize that you have to take action? You have to have a bias towards putting things out into the world that real artists ship, and that you will be embarrassed of your first product. And balancing that you should be proud of everything that you put out and never doing something that you're not proud of. How do you balance these two? Well, it's really simple. It's very simple. You take pride in the input, not the output. You take pride in the work that you did to create the thing, not the thing itself. You take pride in that I have put as much time and energy into this product as I can. I have made this thing as good as I can in this moment. I am proud of the effort that I have put into creating this, and I know there is no more. I did not cut any corners. There is nothing more I can do in this moment to make it better. It is as good as I can do given my current skill sets, resources, and capacities right now. And I'm proud of the effort that I've put in. Now, when you put it out there, Ira Glass talks about this in terms of this idea of the gap. The gap is, he's talking about this in terms of artists. So when you get into art, you probably get into art. Maybe you want to learn how to play the piano. You want to paint. You want to draw. You get in because you love good art. You have a good eye for good drawings. You are attracted to great paintings and great photography. You see it and you have this connoisseur-esque taste for it. You're like, I know what good art looks like. I have this palette. And yet, when you start creating the art, there's a gap between your abilities and your taste. And so you can see so clearly how far away you are from being good. Because you're like, I know what good art looks like, and this is not it, right? And so that gap crushes people. But if you keep with the activity and you keep doing it, that gap shrinks and shrinks until finally your capacity and your taste, they start to converge. And that's where mastery results. Now, I share that with you because when I wrote my very first book, Time Heist, I made it as good as I could in that moment. I spent about a year writing it. I did probably 15 different drafts. And by the end of the year, it was as good as I could make it. Now, I look back on that book 1 year later and I was like, I could do so much better now. I look back on it 10 years later and I'm like, God damn, like I could write that book so much better now because I'm better now than I was then. But I could not have gotten better. I could not be in the position now where I can look back and say I can do that better if I had not done that first rep. So the first rep has to be shitty. And the second rep has to be shitty, but hopefully a little bit better. And the third rep is going to be shitty, but hopefully better than the second, right? And that is how you incrementally improve. And through all of that, I am not proud of the story, the output of the book. I do not have any misconceptions that it is the next Stephen King. It is not a classic by any means, but I am terribly proud of the effort that went into creating it. That is how you bridge the gap between putting out things that you know are still not great and yet you are still entirely proud of. And if you can do that without fear of the judgment of others and them telling you this is not good and you recognize them, I know it's not that good, but it's as good as I can make it right now. If you can get over that fear of their judgment, that fear of what other people will think, that is how you improve over time. And the entrepreneurs, the founders that I've met that are the most successful, they just had the highest tolerance for public failure, for that public ridicule, for the low ratings and reviews on those early products, because they know it's not as good as it could be. but with another 10, 15, 20 years, it's going to be great. But I can't get there if I don't do this first iteration. So that is how you balance perfectionism with this need to feel pride in everything that you do. Find the pride in the effort that went in, not in the result that came out. And that, my friend, is all I got for you today. I'll see you guys in the next episode.